Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do my Pan Nose Eyeshadows / Pan That Palette update / intro for 2022 because I'm doing an update. I'm kind of sort of rolled this on from last month, but it is an intro for this year because I am rolling in some new palettes, new shades to focus on, and it's just a little bit different. So it's still technically an intro, even though it's just I'm doing like a rolling project style. Yeah, there's I've made this quite complicated, but it honestly works for me. I know originally the Pan Nose Eyeshadows project was created by Alexi a few years ago. I only started doing this as a palette bingo a couple years ago, and then last year I did it for a full 9 months, and then when I moved I sort of changed the project round, which has really worked for me. And yeah, that's what I'm going to carry on doing, but the only difference is how I pick the palettes today. I'm going to do something slightly different because I've actually just been choosing them since September, October time, which palettes I want to focus on, which palettes I sort of want to have a focus shade on and whatnot. So yeah, let me just get into it, otherwise this video is going to be awfully long. But I've had these two palettes that I've been working on the last month. I actually have them on my eyes today. So what I've done in my project is basically I picked these eyeshadow palettes to work on, and then my goal was to use every single shade at least once in the last month. But then I also had 2 focus shades in each palette that I would want to at least use 5 times. Essentially, I would like to hit pan on any shades if I can, which I actually have. So this is a fun update because I have, even though it's not necessarily the intention of this project for me, it's like a bonus. So my intention and why I changed this around is because I want to get to know my eyeshadow palettes better, as opposed to just using one shade from one palette and really heavily focusing on it, but then not using the whole palette as its entirety. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. And so I really wanted to just understand the eyeshadow palettes that I have and then figure out which ones I like and which ones I don't, because, you know, if I have a whole eyeshadow palette and only like one shade, what's the point of having 18 other shades or like 19 other shades? It just doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's kind of what I've done, but I do have some new pans. Let me start with, which one should I start with? I'll start with maybe the least interesting one in terms of like how many times I used it and so on. So I'll start with my Rose Quartz from Primark. I talk about Primark makeup quite a bit. I have a few of their items. For the most part, it's pretty rubbish, but this is a good palette. I don't really care what anybody says, but I really like this palette. And I'll just put a picture of what it looked like before. It's a palette that I've had a while, and I believe I had 2 pans in this palette already. And yeah, you can see some use and everything. So let me just show you what it looks like now. Hopefully you can see a little bit more use and love, especially in some of those shimmer shades, which is really, this palette is pretty good. I would say the mattes are very, very powdery. Like Primark quality is still Primark quality. It's not great, but I think this is a pretty good palette for Primark. So just give me that. But yeah, let me just talk about the whole palette and like how many times I use the shades, and yeah, we'll just start. So number 1, they don't have any names, but I have expanded this one quite a bit, I believe. I only used it 3 times. This one I really like, but I only used it twice. This one I used it 3 times, so that one is a super easy shade for me to use. Obviously just use it in my crease or on my lid. This one I only used once, but I do actually have a dip. I don't know if you can really see that, but I have a dip forming, so if I had this in the project a bit longer, I could definitely hit pan on this one. The 5th one I only used once. It's a beautiful sort of glittery silver, almost has a little bit of hint of purple to it. I mean, not really, but when you mix these two together, it's actually really beautiful. I did a look with these two. I actually put it here because I thought it was really beautiful, and yeah, it's Primark quality, but I still thought it was quite nice. So And then this one I kind of forced myself to use. This is one of the ones that I really didn't. There was 3 shades that I ended up not really using at all on purpose. So I forced myself to do a look with those 3 shades, but it ended up being such a beautiful look in my opinion. But then I didn't get a picture of it, so I'm really upset. But this one I only used once. It's just a beautiful like gold shimmer. This one, I'm kind of losing track. This is, yeah, number 7. I used that twice. So this next one was one of the focus shades for me. I thought that I was going to wear a lot of red over the holidays, but I really didn't. I kind of struggled with my reds. I actually took, we went to, on Christmas Eve, we went to a family gathering, and I didn't want to take a big palette because we had to do like a 3-hour drive. So I actually took the e.l.f. Quad, the berry bad, so I ended up doing like a berry look. So yeah, I didn't really, and then I didn't wear makeup on Christmas, so yeah, I didn't really feel the need to wear this. I only wore it 3 times, which was a focus shade, which is kind of annoying. I definitely thought I was going to use it more. This was also another focus shade, and I used it 3 times. This one I wasn't too keen on using, to be honest. It's like the salmon pink, and it's not really, especially with a matte shade, this color, it's really not that interesting. I like more of a peachy pink, not this sort of pinky salmony color. It's just a little bit off for me. This one is pretty, but I only used it once. So yeah, this one is the most boring one. This one is, what is this? This next one I used twice. And then this one, I really love this. This is absolutely gorgeous. I actually could hit pan on this very, very easily. This one I used 5 times. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful shimmer for Primark quality. I just think it's kind of stunning, and I would dab that over the lid on top of another shade, or I put that in my inner corner. But I believe that one will be the next pan that I hit in this palette if I can. This next one I used 4 times, which is kind of surprising to me. But yeah, I used that 4 times. This one I already had a pan in. It's got a little itty bitty pan. I expanded it only slightly. I used that once. This one's pretty, but I only used it once. The black I only used once. This one I only used once. So basically the shades that I forced myself to use was this one, this one, this one, and this one. But I ended up doing a very pretty look. So the next one is this one, and I used that 3 times. This one I used once, and then this one I used once. So not very super exciting update in terms of this palette. I really was hoping to hit pan on this, but you know, it's time to roll this out, and I've got a little bit bored of this, to be honest. It's one of my older palettes, so I know it quite well. And for whatever reason, I just wasn't really into these sort of salmony pinks. And then my second palette was the Revolution Chilled palette. And this one is one of my favorite palettes. And I hit 2 pounds. I have 2 pounds on this one. So that was exciting. I didn't have any pounds on this. So I put a picture of what it looked like before. You can see there's like some dips. Hopefully you can see in that picture, but there's definitely like some dips and stuff, but not any pans. And now I have 2, so I'm super excited. So this is what it looks like now. So as you can see, I have a pan in this really creamy Acapulco shade, and I also have a pan in the Relax shade, quite a big pan too, because I use it quite a bit. But yeah, my goal really to pull this into project was dip into the greens more, which obviously I dipped into every single shade at least once. So I got to know what the greens were like, because previously I hadn't really touched too much of the greens. Definitely this one because I had it in my Panner's eyeshadows last year, and I really like Candyland, but the rest I really didn't touch, especially these glitters. But I have used them all at least once now, so I'll just talk through it with you. What I do, I started over here. So the hybrid, this is a glitter. It's like a silver glitter, and I used that once. Not a huge fan of, honestly, the glitter formula in this palette at all. Out of the 3 glitters, this one is the nicest to work with. These 2 are pretty horrendous, I have to say. So with that being said, this goddess one I only used once. Now this one, is nicer than this one. So it'd be 1, 2, and 3 in terms of like order of preference. But honestly, I really didn't like using any of those. Dope I only used once. I think I was just still so kind of slightly sick of it, but honestly I feel like I could hit pan because I didn't know how deep the pans were, but if I had known that I feel like I'm almost there. So if I had known, or if I had hit these pans a little bit sooner, then I might have pushed myself to use that a bit more, but I just wanted to work on this naturally. So yeah, I only used that once. Plant I used twice, just to sort of deepen out some green looks I was using. Acapulco I used only twice and then I hit pan, which was kind of crazy, but it's a really beautiful shade. It's kind of, I wouldn't say it's like a super shock because it's, I don't know, I don't think it is the same quality as a ColourPop Super Shock, but it's still very beautiful and pretty interesting to have. Calm is one of my favorite shades in this palette. I actually have it on the lids today. It's this beautiful golden yellow shade. I really like that one. So that one I used 5 times. Huff was one of my like focus shades basically. So this one I kind of failed though. I don't know why I can't hit 5 times on my focus shades. This one I used 3 times. I don't know if it's even worth me having focus shades at this point because they haven't really done much to make me focus on that shade. So I don't know, maybe I need to rethink that strategy. But yeah, I only used that 3 times. This is still beautiful shade. It's like this bronzy golden shade. I think my mum loves this shade. It's very, very beautiful. I just didn't use it more than 3 times, which is a shame. Leaf I used once, but I used once. This is like the worst glitter I have ever used in my life. It went everywhere. I will tell you this, it literally went all over my face and it was like everywhere and I couldn't get it off. So yeah, it was pretty bad. I actually used that shade when I did my makeup inventory look. If you watch that video, I actually have this on the lids. I used this palette for that, and yeah, I was not happy with how it turned out. But I think in the video you can't actually see, but I literally had glitter all over my face. Candyland I used once. I really like that shade, but I only used once. I really didn't do that many green looks, to be honest. Sativa I used once. Cool I used 4 times. Don't see any dip whatsoever. Natural, I think I only used, I used that twice. I used that again today. I thought that was the first time, but I used it twice. Haze, I used once. Mist, I used once. Burn, I used once. And then we get to Relax. Relax was my second focus shade. So this one actually ended up being a pan, which was pretty good. But I had a very strong dip in this when I rolled it in, so I knew I was going to hit pan regardless. I think I hit pan after the 3rd use or something like that. But I ended up using this 6 times this last month. And then Excel is a really beautiful shimmer, but I only used that once. So yeah, I mean, I've been using quite a lot of different palettes in like my shop, my stash. So I've been focusing less on these shades. And I think as soon as I hit pan in this one at least once and the other one, I was like, okay, I've hit pan. Now I just need to, use every shade at least once, which is fine. But I also just got a little bit bored of the colors, I think. I just generally got bored of them after week 3. So yeah, I'm rolling them out today. Super happy that I had more love in them though. I mean, that's really interesting for me that I wasn't even focusing on hitting pan, but I ended up hitting 3 pans this last month, which is kind of exciting. So yeah, I'm hoping that with this project I can just carry that on. It really depends on if I roll some new palettes or if I roll older palettes. Obviously these 2 are older palettes for me. This one I have actually only had a year, but that other one I've had 1.5 to 2 years. So yeah, I just think it's kind of easy to hit pan in these ones because they're not super deep. So with that being said, what am I going to do now? Humming and ahhing about maybe just should I pick palettes myself like I have been doing, but then I was looking and I really honestly don't know which palette to choose. I was thinking, well, I've been using at least one of my Shop My Stash palettes, maybe I'll do that. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I should do my Naughty Nude from Huda Beauty, but I really don't want to. I don't know what it is. It doesn't interest me at this point. And I was thinking, well, maybe I should use a palette that I'm not familiar with at all, I haven't even tried, which is like the Sweet Talk in my new Shop My Stash. But no, I don't want to do that unless it's pulled. So what I'm going to do right now is most of my palettes are in my spreadsheet. I still have a few that I need to add in, but honestly, if they're not added in at this point, I don't really care. I'm just going to look at all of the shades I have. I think it's up to like 500 and something. I have to just double check. What I'm going to do is roll 2 numbers, and then the first number will correlate to whatever palette that is. Whatever shade is pulled will be that palette that I use. And then the second one, whatever shade is pulled from that palette, is the palette that I will use. And then I'll have my 2 focus ones, and then I will re-roll again to pick my 2 focus shades in each palette. I know that's crazy, but I just haven't organized my spreadsheet to the point where I have all of my palettes listed and then I have the numbers. It just makes more sense to me to do it that way. So I'm going to do that. Let me just get my number generator and I'll be right back. So if one of the palettes that is currently in my Shop My Stash is pulled, then I will use that palette. I will leave it up to the gods, honestly, to decide at this point. But I have 552 shades in my spreadsheet right now. So I'm going to just do 1 out of 552, and then we will find out. Oop, I don't know if you can see that, but okay. So the first palette is going to be 135. So whatever shade that is in the palette, I'll pick that palette. And then the next one will be 6. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I have a dilemma. So one of the palettes that I have been given is in one of my pan projects with the Fantastic ladies. Basically, I'm doing Child of the 80s, and I believe that video has already been posted by the time I post this one. I think it will be, but regardless, yes. So I don't know if I should re-roll so that I don't have one palette in 2 projects. I don't know if that would really make sense, to be honest. I feel like that would be cheating. Or would that just make it easier for me? Maybe I should do that. I think I'll do that. Is that cheating? I don't know. Let me know if that's cheating, because that would just sort of help me out. But then obviously my update for Child of the 80s won't be as interesting when I do my Pan Those Eyeshadows, or my Pan Those Eyeshadows won't be as interesting as my Child, because the update will be the same. I think I'm gonna re-roll. All right, give me something good. 487. Ooh, I have no idea what that's going to be. Okay, I'm much happier about this. This is amazing. I'm so happy. Okay, so that one brought up, I'll just start with this one. So this one brought up a shade in my Nomad Cartagena Magica palette, which is one of my favorite palettes in my collection. So yeah, super happy about that. This is number 487. I think the shade that was picked is this like bright yellow shade, which is not going to be my well, it might be my focus shade, but I'm going to re-roll again for 2 focus shades in each palette. So this one was picked. I'm actually so excited because I've been dying to pull this out and use it. I just feel like it was more of a spring summer palette, so I haven't been, but I really don't mind, and it's got these 2 beautiful shimmers that I absolutely love. So I'm so excited. Okay, that one was pulled. And then number 6 is an old palette of mine. It is my MAC Star Sighting Infusia palette. Not very exciting palette. The shade that was picked is this black one, but obviously that is not going to be my focus, or it might be. With this one, I don't even know if I could have 2 focus shades. I guess I could. It's such a small palette. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll have 2 focus shades. I don't mind. It's actually really beautiful. I really like these 2 shades, and this is a beautiful inner corner. So I really don't mind this palette. It's just kind of always forgotten about in my collection. So let me roll again, and I'll pick my 2 focus shades. But then again, as you know, in this project, I want to use every shade at least once and kind of just like get a good feeling about the palette. I might realize that I absolutely hate this one. Who knows? All right, so this one's got 15. So let's change this. All right, so let's pick 3 and 14. So those are going to be my 2 those are going to be my 2 focus shades. So, oh gosh. So number 3 is this one. So it was picked. I guess the gods want me to pick this bright, oh my gosh, this really like pasty yellow, not interested. This one I'm really not interested. I'm not a fan of that color. It's like a chartreusey yellow. I don't know, it might be kind of interesting. You're like seeing everything here, but it might be kind of interesting. So that one was picked. And then number 14 is this pink one. So, okay, two very different shades. Oh my goodness. It's like I'm gonna go to Carnival or something. This is stunning. Like very, very like interesting shades. I think that's pretty cool actually, to be honest. I'm actually super excited about that. But, you know, as you know, I'd like to just sort of work on all of it. But yeah, those are my focus ones. What I say in my focus ones is I want to use them at least 5 times. You've seen that I have struggled to do that, but maybe, just maybe, I will be able to do it here. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited this one's been picked. I love this palette. And then the MAC one's only got 6 shades, so let's have a look. So number 1 and number 4. So 4 is going to be a good one. Number 1 I think is boring. Okay, no, actually number 1 is this beautiful like inner corner shimmer. I actually think that's a really stunning color. I really like this color. It's a pinky, it's a beautiful pink shimmer there. Yeah, that's pretty. And then number 4 is this one over here. Crazy. So I've got to do some pinky looks, I guess, with some chartreusey stuff going on. I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm going to be working on this. It'd be really nice to hit pan. I tried to hit pan on this shade in my Pan Those eyeshadows. You really can't see a dip, but I do have quite a bit of a dip in there. So potentially, depending on like how deep these pans are, you cannot see that dip. You can never see a dip. Maybe you can see it there. Yeah, depending on how deep these pans go, I might get some progress out of this one. The other one, because it's a palette that I really haven't used too much of, even though I say I love it. The only one that I can really see myself hitting pan in would be this one, just because it already has quite a nice dip. Or this shimmer, if I end up using this shimmer with the chartreusey yellow a lot. But it kind of depends where my mood takes me. I can't imagine I'll hit pan in this palette though. Realistically, I don't think I will, but you never know. Maybe. It'd be really nice if I did, but not gonna force myself. But yeah, that's my like new color story. So super excited to be using these. These are not palettes that I would pair together or use or like think about using. I have been really wanting to use this. I think I mentioned this before. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, hopefully I have a good progress update for next month. But yeah, this is my intro. So my intro is going to be these 4 shades as focus shades, but then obviously all of the shades in the palette at least once, but really just want to make a dent in my palette collection and get some love into my palettes. If I can hit pan, that would be great. But this is rolling style, so I am going to be rolling them out next month. That just makes it more interesting for me. And I also have a lot of palettes that I really want to get to know, especially like some ColourPop ones where I just really don't have a very strong opinion about. So yeah, I've got too many palettes that I care to have, to be honest, at this point. So this project makes me happy, and it makes it enjoyable for me to use it, as opposed to sitting on one palette for like 3 or 4 months at a time and basically like hate panning a shade. It's just not fun. So I've tried to make it fun for me. Hopefully it will be enjoyable to watch for the year. I might change the rules out depending on how I feel, you know, how it goes. But so far I really like how it's been going. It's been working for me, and I have hit pan in some eye palettes. So yeah, super excited. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you next time. Bye.